welcome to our educational podcast. I'm Ana Serna Mendoza, joined by Gabriela Murgas Mejia, Maria Jose Contreras, and Jarvina Polo. Today we'll examine English assessment instruments from two different educational contexts in Colombia, a private bilingual school and a public elementary institution, analyzing their alignment with Colombian Ministry of Education standards and CFR frameworks.
Our research focuses on understanding how assessment practices vary between private and public schools, and whether these instruments effectively measure student competencies according to established national standards. As you can see, we have here the questions to be clear with our video objective.
We analyze assessments from two constructing educational environments. First, Gimnasio del Saber, a private bilingual institution emphasizing English immersion from early grades. Their assessment was a third-grade didactician in context exercise, where students listened to a narrative about an art class and wrote what they heard.
In contrast with our public school Nelson Mandela, the assessment came from a traditional EPL context with limited resources. The daily routine exercise required that elementary students to read English sentences and match them with corresponding images. This reflects that the typical resources, constraints, and pedagogical approaches in Colombian public education.
These contexts represent the broader educational divide in Colombia, where private institutions often exceed ministry standards, while public schools struggle to meet basic requirements to resources limitations and teacher preparation challenges.
According to Colombian Ministry standards, grades 1 to 3 should achieve A1 level, while grades 4 to 7 target A2. However, our analysis reveals significant discrepancies between expected and assessed levels.
The private school dictation assessment operate at A1 plus in level, incorporating contextual complexity that slightly exceeds third grade expectations, and students must process connected discourse, understand a related vocabulary, and demonstrate integrated listening writing skills.
The public schools matching exercise aligns more precisely with basic E1 descriptors, focusing on simple vocabulary recognition and visual textual connections. However, it lacks the complexity progression that should characterize elementary English learning.
This gap highlights how resource availability influence assessment sophistication. Private schools can implement more challenging evaluations, potentially better preparing students for higher proficiency levels, while public schools may struggle to move beyond basic competency assessment.
Using Colombian Standards Strict Communicative Competencies Framework, we found significant variations in competency coverage between institutions.
Regarding linguistic competence, both schools address basic vocabulary appropriately. The private school dictation requires students to apply other graphics knowledge and recognize syntactic pattern with context. However, neither school adequately assesses phonological competence, missing opportunities to evaluate pronunciation.
The pragmatic competence shows the most dramatic difference. The private school's contextual dictation demands textual organization skills and functional language understanding. The students must comprehend narrative structure and maintain coherence while writing. The public school matching exercise provides limited pragmatic challenges, focusing primarily on the word image correspondence without functional language use.
So the linguistic competence remains the weakest area for both institutions. Neither assessment incorporates cultural awareness, register variation, or social context understanding. This represents a significant gap in Colombian English education, where cultural competence should complement linguistic development.
The private school shows stronger competency integration, while the public school focuses on isolated skill development. This difference may contribute to varying student outcomes between educational sectors.
Our skills analysis reveals concerning pattern in both contexts. The private school dictation integrates listening and writing effectively, requiring simultaneous comprehension and production. However, it completely omits speak and oral interaction assessment.
The public schools matching exercise evaluates the reading and visual processing, but with minimal writing production, and it fails to address listening, speaking, or interactive competencies entirely.
Well, neither institution achieved comprehensive for skills assessment. This limitation prevents teachers from understanding student communicative competence and may lead to unbalanced skills development.
Speaking of assessment principles, both assessments present significant technical quality issues. Their validity suffers from limited construct coverage. Neither instrument assesses the full range of skills expected at the student's proficiency levels. However, the private institution's SAM covers more skills such as writing, listening, and reading than the public institutions.
On the other hand, in terms of readability, both exams have high readability because they are close-ended, easy to score, and with little room for subjectivity. However, as mentioned above, they measure a limited portion of language proficiency, which makes the resource readability in the other themselves, but not necessarily represents of overall English proficiency.
Likewise, both exams have a certain degree of authenticity because they are based on real-life contexts like routines or art class, and they don't know achieve a high level of authenticity as they more like school-based recognition and writing exercise rather than actual communicative tasks.
Finally, regarding the final criteria, since these are single-choice exams, the feedback or watchback they generate is limited and more focused on correction than on the process or actual use of the language, while practicality could be considered their strength in this regard. They are easy to apply and grade. However, this same simplicity reduces the authenticity and depth of learning.
We propose 5 priority improvements for Colombian English assessment. First, implement a clear CEFR alignment with grade-specific descriptors that reflect realistic expectations while maintaining rigor.
Second, develop competence balance. Assessments incorporate linguistic, pragmatic, and sociolinguistic elements proportionality. This requires the teacher's training and resource allocation to support comprehensive evaluation.
And the third one is design multi-skills integrate assessment that evaluates communicative competence authentically. With simple modifications like adding speaking components to existing exercise can enhance assessment validity significantly.
Fourth, establish technical standards including reliable scoring, rubrics, validity evidence, and bias analysis. This professionalization of the assessment practice will improve educational quality across institutional types.
Finally, address equity considerations through resource-neutral assessment formats that maintain academic rigor while ensuring fair evaluation regardless of institutional advantages.
Our analysis reveals that while both private and public schools attempt to assess English competence, significant gaps exist in framework, alignment, technical quality, and equity considerations.
The private-public assessment divide reflects the broader educational inequalities that require systematic interventions beyond individual institutional improvements.
Well, that's all for the podcast today. Thank you for listening our analysis with Gabriela Murgas Mejia, María José Contreras, Yarelvina Polo, and me, Ana María Fernandosa. Thank you for listening.